Hello, hi, Assalamualaikum dan selamat sejahtera to all my lovely students. So, let's continue our lesson today with the 11.2 Actions of Antibodies. So, we are in the chapter 11, Immunity in Humans. So, in my previous video, we already covered 11.1 Body Defense. So, for today, we will cover 11.2 and hopefully we can cover 11.3 also, right? So let's go to the learning standards that you have to cover for today. Okay, in 11.2 Actions of Antibody, okay, you are able to discuss the actions of antibodies on foreign antigens. Yeah? So what are the actions? First, neutralization, agglutination, precipitation, opsonization, and last one is lysis. So all of these are mechanisms, yeah, that used by the antibodies to destroy the antigens. Right, so let's go to the mechanism. Yeah. Mechanism of antibodies destroy the antigen consists of the 5 types. Okay, what are they? Agglutination, neutralization, precipitation, opsonization, and lysis. Alright, so make sure you can understand the keywords here. The agglutination, yeah, refer to the agglutinate. Yeah. Neutralization, yeah, neutralize. Precipitation, yeah, the keyword here is precipitate. Yeah. Opsonization, the keyword here is opso, yeah, opsonize. Yeah. And then the keyword here for here is the lysis. Right, so these are referred to the 5 types of the mechanism of antibodies destroy the antigens. Alright, so let's go one by one. Alright, so the first mechanism is agglutination. Yeah, agglutination. The keyword here is agglutinate. Yeah, so what does it mean by the agglutinate? Agglutinate dalam bahasa Melayunya ialah bergumpal. Yeah, so the antibodies will agglutinate the pathogen. Right. So antibodies coagulate the pathogen and make them an easy target to be trapped and destroyed by phagocytes. Alright, so when the antibody coagulate with the pathogen, so it will make the pathogen become an easy target and will be easily destroyed by phagocytes. So phagocytes here refer to the neutrophil or what is it? Monocytes. Yeah, okay, neutrophil or monocytes. Alright, so that is the first mechanism by agglutination. The second one is neutralization. Yeah, neutralization. The keyword here is neutralize. So the antibodies bind with toxin produced by bacteria and neutralize the toxin. So this is referred to the antibody. This is referred to the toxin that produced by the bacteria. So when the antibody binds with the toxin, it will neutralize the toxin. Okay, that is referred to the second mechanism, neutralization. Okay, then we go to the third one. It is precipitation. Yeah, precipitation. The keyword here is precipitate. Precipitate adalah mendakkan. Ya, dia memendakkan pathogen tersebut. The antibodies react with dissolved antigen to form an insoluble complex, which is precipitate, and is easily destroyed by phagocytes. Okay, so this is referred to the antibodies. So the antibodies will bind with the antigen of the pathogen and then make the pathogen precipitate. Yeah, precipitate. So when it precipitates, it will be easier for the phagocytes, yeah, to destroy it. Alright, so that is referred to the precipitation. Okay, next we go to the opsonization. Opsonization. Yeah. So antibodies combine with antigen. Yeah, antibodies combine with the antigen of the pathogen, right? Okay, and act as a marker. Yeah, act as a marker for phagocytes to recognize the antigen and destroy them. Okay, so for example, this one. Okay, so this is referred to the antigen of the bacteria. Okay, so once the antibody bind with the antigen, so it will act as a marker. Yeah, act as a marker. Alright, so these antibodies we call as opsonin. Yeah, opsonin will bind with the antigen and act as a marker. Marker for what? Marker for phagocytes. So phagocytes will recognize the antigen and then will destroy it. Alright, okay, so that is referred to the opsonization. So opsonin refer to the antibodies, yeah, that bind with the antigen and then act as a marker. Yeah, act as a marker for the phagocytes, and phagocytes will easier recognize the antigen and will destroy them immediately. Alright, okay, so that is referred to the opsonization. Okay, last one is lysis. Okay, lysis refer to the breakdown. Yeah, breakdown. So the antibodies combine with the antigens and cause the bacteria to be broken down and decompose. Right? So decompose, degenerate. Right? Okay, so what happened here? Okay, we can see here this is referred to the antigen of the bacteria. So the lysine antibodies combine with the antigens. Okay, we can see here the antibody binds with the antigen, and what happened? What happened? The antigen or the bacteria, okay, the bacteria here broken down. Yeah, break down and decomposition occur. Yeah, decomposition occur. That is referred to the lysis. Yeah, lysis mechanism, whereby the antibodies combine with the antigen and then cause the bacteria to be broken down. Right? So that are referred to the 5 mechanisms of how antibodies destroy the pathogen. Yeah, how the antibodies destroy the pathogen. Okay, so that is referred to the 11.2. Okay, now we are going to continue with the 11.3 types of immunity. Yeah, types of immunity. Okay, let's go to the learning standards in 11.3. So you are able to communicate about the types of immunity that refer to the passive immunity and active immunity. And then second one, compare and contrast passive immunity and active immunity. Okay, so that are referred to the learning standards that you have to understand for today. Alright, so we go to the types of the immunity. So, again, what is the immunity? Yeah, immunity is the body's ability to fight against the pathogen, yeah, or to fight against the infection. Right, so the types of the immunity consist of the 2 types. Okay, what are they? They are active immunity and passive immunity. Okay, so there are 2 types of the immunity. Okay, what are they? Active immunity and passive immunity. Okay, so what does it mean by the active immunity? So active immunity means that lymphocytes, lymphocytes refer to the white blood cells here, one type of the white blood cells, produce their own antibodies as a response to stimulation by the antigen, by the antigen of the pathogen here, right? So that is referred to the active immunity. So the key word of the active immunity is the lymphocyte produce their own antibodies, or the lymphocyte produce antibodies, yeah, to fight against the infection. Okay, whereby the passive immunity. Okay, passive immunity means, yeah, okay, that the body receive antibodies from an external source. Okay, the key word here is the body receive antibody. Yeah, that is referred to the passive immunity. Alright, so make sure you can remember that active immunity means the lymphocyte or the body produce antibodies. Okay, whereby the passive immunity refer to the body receive the antibodies. Yeah, receive the antibodies from outside. Okay, both of these types of immunities can be naturally or artificially acquired. Yeah, can be naturally or artificially acquired. Alright, so let's take a look on the diagram here. Okay, so immunity can be divided into two types. Okay, active immunity and passive immunity. So inactive immunity, they are divided into two. Okay, what are they? Natural active immunity and artificial active immunity. So in natural active immunity, it is acquired after an individual recovers from an infection. Okay? So the immunity is acquired by naturally. Yeah, by naturally. So our body will produce antibody after the infection. Right? Okay, so our body will become immune after the infection. Okay, second one, artificial active immunity. Okay, acquired when an individual is given a vaccine injection. Okay, same our situation now. The people are given with the vaccination with the COVID-19. Yeah, so to get the artificial active immunity. Okay, that is referred to the active immunity. Okay, next we go to the passive immunity. Okay, passive immunity. Okay, our body receive the antibody. That is referred to the passive immunity. Can be divided also into two, natural passive immunity and artificial passive immunity. So in natural passive immunity, it is acquired through breastfeeding. Yeah, through breastfeeding and from the mother to the fetus during pregnancy. Okay, that is referred to the natural passive immunity acquired through breastfeeding. Okay, then second one, artificial passive immunity. Artificial passive immunity. It is acquired through an anti-serum injection. Yeah, acquired through an anti-serum injection. So what is anti-serum? Anti-serum refers to the serum that contain antibodies. Okay, means our body receive the antibody from the outside through injection. Okay, that is referred to the artificial passive immunity. Okay, we go to the active immunity. So, what is the immunity against? Yeah? Active immunity refer to the body, our lymphocytes. Yeah? Lymphocytes in the body produce the antibody, yeah, to attack to the pathogen, yeah, to fight against the infection. Okay, so in active immunity, antibodies are produced naturally by lymphocytes. Yeah, so you have to remember what is the function of the lymphocytes. Lymphocytes will produce antibody. Okay, and active immunity remains for a long period of time. Okay, so now let's take a look on the first type of the active immunity, which is natural active active immunity. Natural active immunity. Okay, when someone is infected by pathogens, lymphocyte will produce antibodies as a response to this antigen. Okay, when an individual recovers from an infection, that individual will gain a permanent immunity against the disease. Okay, so that is referred to the natural active immunity, whereby when we are infected by the pathogen, the lymphocyte in the bodies will produce the antibodies. Yeah, will produce antibodies to fight against the pathogen. And then when the individual recover from the infection, the individual will gain a permanent immunity against the disease. Yeah? So that is referred to the natural active immunity. So when the individual is attacked again by the same pathogen, the lymphocytes that store memories of the pathogen, that is memory cell, will rapidly produce antibodies to react against the antigens immediately. Alright, so when we are infected again with the same disease, so we already have the memory cells. Memory cells. So these memory cells will react. Will react. Okay, how does it react? It will stimulate the T lymphocyte to produce the antibodies immediately. Against the antigen. Okay, so that is referred to the natural active. Right, natural active immunity. Okay, we go to the second type of the active immunity, which is artificial active immunity. So, it is important to protect oneself from being infected by a highly infectious disease. So, an individual can be immunized against the disease. Alright, so this type of immunity is important to protect us from being infected by a highly infectious disease, such as COVID-19 now. So, how we have to get the immunization. Okay, so what is the immunization? So, immunization refers to the process that stimulates immunity against a specific disease through vaccine injection. Alright, so that's referred to the immunization. Okay, again, so what is the immunization? Refer to the process that stimulate the immunity. Stimulate the immunity against the pathogen or against a specific disease. Okay, by how? Through vaccine injection or through vaccination. Alright, so that is referred to the immunization, the process that stimulate the immunity, against a disease. Okay, through what? Through vaccination. Okay. Right. So vaccine is a suspension. So what is a vaccine? Vaccine is a suspension of pathogens that are weakened, dead, or non-virulent. Okay. So what is a vaccine? Vaccine refer to the weakened pathogen or dead pathogen. Weakened pathogen or dead weakened, which is non-virulent. So this pathogen is not harmful. It's not harmful. It's not harmful because it is already weakened. It is already dead. So it is important to stimulate our lymphocyte to produce antibody. So, when a vaccine is injected into the body, so the vaccine will stimulate. Right? So the vaccine here, what is a vaccine? Vaccine refer to the dead pathogen, weakened pathogen, non-virulent pathogen, injected into our body to stimulate the lymphocyte to produce antibodies, to fight against the infection or to fight the pathogens. Okay, so the first vaccine injection will usually result in a low level of antibody production, which is insufficient to protect an individual from the disease. Alright, okay, that is referred to the first vaccine injection. Okay, that's why we have to get the second dose of the infection. Okay, of the injection. Okay, so why we have to get the second dose? Okay, because the first dose, the first vaccine injection is not enough. It's not enough. It just result a low level of antibody. Yeah, so it is insufficient. Yeah, it is not enough to protect the disease. So a booster dose, okay, a second dose we call as booster dose. Booster dose must be administered to increase the antibody production to a level of immunity, all right, okay, that can protect the individual from the disease. So usually in the question always asking why the person need a booster dose, right? Okay, why the person need a second dose? So the answer is to increase the antibody production to a level of immunity. Yeah, to increase the antibody production to a level of immunity, and it will protect the individual from the disease. If the individual is infected by actual pathogens, the lymphocyte will produce enough antibodies and immediately destroy this pathogen. Alright, so that is referred to the artificial active immune. Okay, examples of the vaccines, are the Salk vaccine for poliomyelitis, BCG vaccine for tuberculosis, for the TB. And then for HPV vaccine for cervical cancer, Pfizer, Sinovac, AstraZeneca for COVID infection. So all of these are referred to the vaccine. Vaccine. So again, what is a vaccine? Vaccine refer to the dead or weakened virus, which is already non-virulent. Okay, next we go to the passive immunity. Okay, passive immunity refer to the body receive the antibody from the external source. Okay, the body does not produce the own antibodies. Okay, the antibodies are obtained from an external source. Antibodies are obtained from an external source. Okay, passive immunity does not persist and can only give immediate, short-term, and temporary protection. So this protection is not permanent, but it can give immediate protection, immediate and short-term protection, but just temporary only. Okay, so that is referred to the passive immunity. Okay, so passive immunity can be divided into two. Okay, natural passive immunity and artificial passive immunity. Alright, okay, we go to the natural passive immunity. Okay, natural passive immunity. So the immunity is acquired by a fetus when the mother's antibodies diffuse through the placenta into the blood flow of the fetus. That is referred to the immunity acquired by the fetus during pregnancy, during mother's pregnancy. Okay, antibodies also protect the baby for the first few months after birth through antibodies that are found in the mother's milk or cholesterol when breastfeeding. Okay, so the antibody also enter into the baby through breastfeeding. Yeah, breastfeeding. So antibodies are found in the mother's milk or cholesterol. Okay, so that is referred to the natural passive immunity. Yeah, whereby it is referred to the immunity acquired by a fetus during pregnancy of the mother, and then the antibodies are required by the baby through breastfeeding. Okay, next we go to the artificial passive immunity. Okay, so this immunity is acquired through an anti-serum injection or serum that contains specific antibodies to fight specific antigens, right? So what is anti-serum? Anti-serum refers to the serum that contains specific antibodies, okay? So this type of the immunity, which is referred to the artificial passive immunity, is acquired through anti-serum injection. Yeah, so these are refer to the anti-serum. Yeah, anti-serum injection. So the anti-serum injection gives immediate protection. Yeah, so the anti-serum will give immediate protection because the anti-serum contains antibody. Yeah, so it will give protection to the individual, but only for a short period of time. Right, so but only for a short period of time. So means this anti-serum injection or the artificial passive immunity can give immediate protection but not long lasting. Yeah, it's not permanent. Okay, examples of anti-serums are anti-tetanus, anti-tetanus, anti-rabies, and anti-serum for poisonous snake. Alright, so these are referred to the example of anti-serum. Okay, so as you can see from the diagram here, this is referred to the anti-tetanus preparation. Yeah, so how does we get the anti-tetanus? Yeah, so the tetanus toxide suspension. So this is referred to the tetanus. Yeah, the tetanus toxin. Yeah, tetanus toxin is injected into a horse. Yeah, and then what happened? The body of the horse, or the lymphocyte of the horse will produce the antibody. Yeah, antibody against the tetanus. Alright, and then what happened? The anti-tetanus from the horse serum is concentrated and purified and is injected into individuals with high risk of tetanus, and the individual is protected from tetanus infection. Okay, that is referred to the anti-tetanus preparation. It is referred to the serum, yes, serum that contains antibodies. Okay, so the antibodies are produced if for the anti-tetanus, the antibodies is produced by the horse. Alright. Okay, so that is referred to the artificial passive immunity. Alright, so now let's take a look on the comparison between artificial active immunity and artificial passive immunity. Okay, artificial active immunity and artificial passive immunity. So when we talk about the artificial active immunity, so what is on your mind? Yeah, you should think about the vaccination or vaccine injection. That is referred to the artificial active immunity. If for the artificial passive immunity, so artificial passive immunity refer to the anti-serum injection. Yeah, anti-serum injection. So make sure you can differentiate between these two types of the immunity, artificial active immunity and artificial passive immunity. Okay, let's take a look on the similarities for both immunity first. Okay, so both protect the body from infectious disease. Yes, yeah, both protect the bodies from infectious disease. Both involve interaction between antibodies and the antigen. Alright, okay, now we go to the differences. The artificial active immunity acquired through vaccine injection. Vaccine injection, whereby the artificial passive immunity acquired through anti-serum injection. Okay. The vaccine is a suspension of pathogens that are weakened, dead, or non-virulent. Okay, so that is referred to the injected substance. Yeah, for the artificial active immunity, it contains vaccine. So what is a vaccine? Vaccine is a suspension of pathogens that are weakened, dead, or non-virulent. Okay, in artificial passive immunity, the injected substance is anti-serum. So what is an anti-serum? A serum that contains specific antibodies. Yeah, the serum contains specific antibodies, whereby the vaccine contains the suspension of the pathogen that are weakened or dead or non-virulent. Okay, next difference. Okay, the purpose of the artificial active immunity is for prevention. Yeah, for prevention of the infection of the disease. Yeah, prevention of the disease. Okay, whereby the purpose for the artificial passive immunity is for treatment. Yeah, for the treatment untuk rawatan or when immediate protection is acquired. Yeah, for example, when the person got a snake bite, yeah, so the person need to be injected with the anti-serum for snake bite, yeah, for treatment. Okay, then we go to the effect of the artificial active immunity. So the effect, it does not give immediate protection. It does not give immediate protection because the vaccine is injected to stimulate the lymphocyte to produce the antibody. So to produce the antibody, the lymphocyte need the time, yeah, need the period of time to produce the antibody. So it does not give immediate protection, right? So whereby for the artificial passive immunity, it will give immediate protection. Yeah, immediate protection. Okay, then we go to the immunity period. So the immunity for the artificial active immunity lasts for a long period of time. Yeah, lasts for a long period of time. Okay, whereby the immunity for the artificial passive immunity is for temporary and does not persist. Yeah, just for temporary. Okay, then we go to the when injection is given. So the vaccine injection is given or administered before being infected. Yeah, the vaccine is administered before being infected, whereby in the artificial and the artificial passive immunity, the anti-serum, yeah, or antibody injection is given in advance if there is a high risk of infection or immediately after being infected by a disease. Yeah, so the anti-serum is given immediately after being infected by a disease. Okay, and last one, not last, second last. Okay, so for the antibody, okay, antibodies are produced by the lymphocyte in the artificial active immunity, whereby in the artificial passive immunity, antibodies are obtained from anti-serum. Yeah, antibodies are obtained from the anti-serum injected. Alright, so the last one. Okay, we go to the graph here. Yeah, so the need to give a second injection or booster dose. Okay, the need to give a second injection or booster dose. So in artificial active immunity, the booster dose must be given to boost the level of antibodies above the level of immunity, yeah, as a protection against the disease. Okay, so means that booster dose need to be given. Need to be given to boost, to increase the level of antibodies above. Okay, so as you can see from the graph here, right? So when the second injection is given or a booster dose is given, so it will boost up, the level of antibodies above the level of immunity. So this is referred to the level of immunity. So once the antibodies production is above the level of antibody, so it will give the protection against the disease. It will give the protection against the disease. Okay, so what is the level of immunity? It is referred to the immunity level refers to the concentration of antibodies that is sufficient to fight the disease. Alright, so this refer to the level of immunity, refer to the concentration of antibodies that is enough or sufficient, to fight the disease. So the booster dose must be given to increase the production of antibodies up to or above the level of immunity. So for the protection against the disease. Alright. So for the artificial passive immunity, so the booster dose is only given when the antibody level in the blood drops below the level of immunity and the patient is still infected by the disease. Okay, so as you can see from the graph here, so this is referred to the first injection. Alright, so after the first injection, the antibody level in the blood is increased up to the level of immunity. But what happened? It will go down. It will decrease again. It will decrease, okay, because the anti-serum injection or artificial passive immunity does not give a permanent protection. It's just for temporary. Just for temporary. And the antibody will go down again. And after that, what happened? The second injection is needed. Needed if the patient is still infected by the disease. To increase the level of antibody of the blood, to the level of immunity, as of for treatment. Alright, so that is referred to the need to the second need to give a second injection or the booster dose for the artificial active immunity and also for the artificial passive immunity. So make sure you can differentiate the graph. Okay, so make sure you can remember this is the graph for the artificial active immunity or the vaccine injection. Alright, okay, so this is the graph for artificial active immunity. Okay, so as we can see here, the antibody levels, here is above the level of immunity, and it will give a permanent protection. Okay, whereby this is the graph for the artificial passive immunity. Okay, please remember the difference between the graph. Okay. Alright, so I think that's all for now. Alright, so I hope you can remember the two types of the immunity. Okay, what are they? They are active immunity and passive immunity. And the active immunity can be divided into natural active immunity and artificial active immunity, whereby the passive immunity also can be divided into natural passive immunity and artificial passive immunity. Okay, so that's all for now. Please read again and again, listen to the video again and again until you really understand the concept of the immunity. Okay, thank you, girls. Stay safe, everyone.